Welcome back. This is a great one. Sit down because I'm going to explain how to get to where you want to get to, finally achieving your goals. And look, I have this great packet for you. It's free. Over the last 3 weeks, our team took time to create this, and I'm going to show you and fill it out with you live. There's a whole bunch of documents here. We're going to go through all of this right now. Sit down, slow down, and pay attention. All right, let's start with the cover page. Your journey to success starts here. Remember, this is free. Just message me. I'll send this over to you. And even though there are 2 pages to this, I'm only going to focus on page 1. Here's page 2. It's the 5 or 10 year plan. But for this section, I want you to only focus on year 1. And as you're looking at this, it says the idea behind this is to identify your priorities in life. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. You've got your personal right here, and you've got your business right here. And so what we want to do is, once we answer the personal and business, those things that we would love to achieve or love to do from a year from now, I want you then to go to the action. So let's pick a few. I want you to also put your age. How old will you be? That matters a little more. Let's see, I'm going to be 100 next year. And if I would go, let's say to 5 years from now, I'd be 105 and then 110. If I'm 100 next year, I'd be 104 5 years from now, right? So yeah, this is what happens when you can't count. So 104 and 109, right? So now I'm going to be 100 next year, and it's important because that puts things in perspective. How much time do you have? How old will you be? And so let's go for these personal and business. Let's split them up. Where would you like to be living? Let's pick some crazy thing. Like a year from now, I'll probably, let's want it to be, want to live same place, but up on the hills. Let's say I want to live in the mountains. I want to have a mountain home. Play along with me here. I'm going to randomly say stuff, mountain home, just to show you the possibilities. What skills or knowledge do you want to acquire? Well, I'd love to learn, let's say, how to code using AI, right? These are all personal things. And then next, how can you advance your career? Let's go to business. Career, let's say I want to create content, create quality content daily, right? Maybe hiring a whole bunch of VAs. Maybe that's what you want to do. What specific financial goals do you have? The typical financial goal that most real estate agents have, 100,000, but let's do 150,000 a year. I'm just upping that a little bit for you. What hobbies? I want to get better at pickleball. Better at pickleball. Everyone wants to get better at pickleball. What travel goals do you have, or what relationships do you need to repair, strengthen? I would say relationships are important. So for you listening in, maybe you want to get closer to your spouse, right? Spouse closer. And then maybe what do you want to improve on? Let's say you want to improve on your ability to convert online leads, right? Converting online leads, because that's something that's important to you. And now let's go to the actions so you can see how this works. Let's say I want to have a mountain home. How am I going to achieve that? Well, I guess I need to make a lot more money, right? So what actions do I need to take? So I probably need to work deeper in my database and maybe work on luxury clients. Let's go for luxury clients. Follow along with me, see what comes out on your end. Code using AI. Well, if I want to actually code using AI, that means I need to practice daily. So maybe practice using AI to code, and maybe take a class or two. Same thing as I keep on going deeper, right? We do that. Now let's do this for business. I want to create a quality content daily. How do I do that? Well, if it's not me who's going to be posting it up and I'm just focusing on creating the content, maybe I decide that every day for an hour 1 hour a day. I dig in, right? I create. And I'm specific. 150K a year. I want to go deeper into my database, right? And then converting online leads. Maybe I need to record myself, right? Record myself. The point is, I'm now thinking in the right direction with that. And as you, whoop, not that one. Let me go back. The point is, as you keep digging deeper, you're going to then use some of those things and take them to that next step, which is what we're going to show you here. But the point is, I want you to identify the personal ones and the business ones and say what stands out after you do this. This section right here should probably take you 30 minutes to an hour to do, because you're going to dig in deeper. It's like, where do I want to be a year from now? What are some things that I struggle with? What are habits that I want to get rid of? What should I be doing with my database, right? Dig deeper there, and let's go deeper. Once you've chosen one, let's go for this one, 150K a year. That's the one I'm going to pick for you so you can follow along with me. We're skipping this one for now, right? And I want you to keep going here. This is kind of like first part is over, going into the second part. I think the two priorities we're going to pick are 150K a year, right? The priorities are the ones that are the most important. And then the other one I saw that was most important is probably spouse, or you want to get closer. And then the regular ones, you could put them in here so you don't lose them. What was it? Pickleball, right? And then I don't even know what other ones. Maybe getting better at Fortnite. Almost an impossibility for me. But let's go with this one. This is the most important one I'm going to pick next. And I'm going to put it into what we call the process. And the process you've probably seen in other forms. The process goes back years. In fact, the very first time I read about it was when I was in high school. And even then it was already old. And that's identifying one priority, one goal, and then breaking it down into actionable steps. This is actually the key piece. Even though this is the middle piece, I want you to think about this because it becomes important. So now I chose 150,000, right? That is a business goal, financial goal. Let's go for a financial goal, right? And maybe you want to do red, right? There we go, so you can see that. Let's go back to black. Priority number one is I want to, let's say, what are we, March 2024. So by March 2025, I want, and I'll go faster here so you don't have to watch everything. 150K a year. By, what are we going to focus on? Focusing on database. Is that what we wrote on the other one? Let's go back and check because we want to bring that action over. Database, yeah, here we go. So by focusing on our database and database. Got it. Why is this important to me? Well, I'd like to, maybe you have debt, right? Maybe you have debt. Maybe you have other things like that are a chip on your shoulder. Maybe you want to prove a point to someone, right? Somebody says, oh, you're never going to make it in real estate. Prove a point. I honestly think chips on shoulders are amazing. Or maybe it's something to prove something to yourself, right? Yourself. Or maybe you're just tired of not succeeding and trying things over. Whatever it is, I want you to dig really deep on this one, because a lot of the times we leave the why for later, and when things get hard, we give up. It's like, that wasn't worth it. Instead of digging in and saying, what am I doing that I shouldn't be doing? And what am I doing that I maybe should go deeper on? Because as you'll see, this is a living document. So I want you to start thinking of this as something that you can change. A problem, what problem are you solving? Well, this doesn't always apply to you. It may, when I use this document, sometimes I use it for software companies, for companies we're helping out. For this, your problem is you're in debt, right? You want to pay off, maybe pay off what you owe. And that's fine. Or you want consistency, or you want to build a team, whatever it is. Here's where we get amazing. Okay, 3 strategies is going to be the key. You see there's 3 sections, 1, 2, 3. Well, Strategy number one, we already know, right? Because we referred back to it at the top here. Database. Whatever that means, we're going to get a little bit clearer, right? And we're going to go back to black. Actually, let's go blue. Database. That's number one. Now, I'm going to go along my strengths, and I'm going to say, well, what am I amazing at already that I can go deeper on if I'm going to make $150,000 a year? And I already have a strong database, but what else am I good at? Let's pick social media. Because remember, I want you to think out loud with me here. Social media. Let's say you're amazing at social media, right? And then lastly, you've got your big database, you've got social media, but maybe you're also absolutely amazing at in-person connections. So let's see how this looks in person, right? As AI comes in, as we get closer, let me stop sharing this. As we get closer to the Jetsons, you're going to succeed because you're more like the Flintstones, right? The hand-to-hand, the holding and kissing the babies, the handwritten notes. And I think it's going to be a combo of both. But I can tell you, you may want to recheck where you're at because some people are missing out on those old school ways in this now. If I'm going here and I want to pick out database, right? I'm going to go one, database. Well, first I'd like to focus in on my past clients in my database, right? And let's say you don't have past clients and you want to just do your sphere. And then what does sphere mean to you? Probably those that are closest to you. So I'm going to, for those on my database, I'm going to reach out to 5 a day text. Right, that's what I'm going to do. 5 a day text, easy. And I'm going to get specific as to what I'm going to text them. So it's like, hey, how are you doing? Right? Or, hey, just touching base. None of that crap. It's going to be more intentional. Number 2, on my database, I like to see how great my database is. I might have to clean it up. So maybe I'm going to clean up and categorize database, right? Database. Right, that's number 3. And number 3, sorry, that was number 2. Number 3, maybe I want to dig deeper into this and say, well, what am I doing with everybody else? Maybe I want to start a newsletter, right? Newsletter that goes out maybe monthly. Let's do monthly if I don't have one. Weekly if you already have one that you're sending out monthly, right? And who's going to help? Let's say you have an assistant, right? If you have an assistant, then you can definitely have somebody help. Here for me, let's say I have one assistant or one admin. I'm going to probably assign this to, let's say, Myra on my team. Myra's going to help out, right? So I have to make sure to loop her into this. Loop her in. Got it? So then what we're going to do, we're going to go to the next 2 sections. Now, let's go to action number 2. Let's go back into the document. We know what we chose is social media. So we have 3 action steps. 1, 2, 3. Let's say the very first one, we're going to LCM everyone daily for 20 minutes. Like, comment, message. There's a whole video on that if you missed it. And number 2 on social, I want to dive deeper. Let's say you want to dive deeper into Facebook because you know it's growing. So you want to do a Facebook business page, organic growth, right? Organic growth. Posting daily. Let's say you're not there yet, right? Next one is the last one on social. Let's say you want to identify who you want to talk to. And say, hey, you know what? I'd love to, since I am speaking to people that are looking to downsize, I'm going to do a lot more messaging in my content creation for downsizing. So let's do downsizing. Well, let's see here. We can fix that one. Downsizing content creation. Boom. All right, so we got social and now in person. I know that I'm great in person and I want to go deeper. The very first thing I'm going to do, coffee in person. Let's do 2 coffees in person. And then let's say I love, and I don't, but let's say I love big events. We're going to do 2 yearly events. And let's do, let's just say Christmas is easy. And let's just use the abbreviation. And let's say maybe summer, right? Summer. Well, that multiple M's there, maybe. And then lastly, on the in-person side, let's say I want to drop off gifts in person, or maybe I even use some tech and do client jumpings, right? We don't know yet, but let's think about that. Now, who is going to help me on this one? Let's say for this one, it's just going to be me by myself. And this one over here, maybe I'm going to go back to Myra, have her help me on the bigger events, Myra and team, if you've got a team, right? And then see what you want to do there. Rewards, for me, I don't really use these. I know some of you do, but for us, the reward is we did it, right? And we get that benefit. So for me, it's an A, and then consequences. Well, I already feel bad that I don't do it. So these are the bottom 2 that I don't do. They're there for others. So now here's the key. Here's where the magic starts happening, because a lot of us just leave it there and then it gets lost. So what we did is we added a next page to this so that we can place it into your actual calendar. And we think this is going to be now the key. So you see, we're going to go to actions, the first actions here under database. We got past clients for 5 a day text. So let's go with that one first. And we're going to scroll to this page. If we're going to go for 5 a day, let's see how realistic that is. Right now, I'm going to pick weekdays, right, for that one. So if I'm going to do week 1, let's say in the morning, I'm going to go with 9 a.m., 5 texts to clients. Well, you know what? To Sphere. Easy, right? And then I'll duplicate that. Boom, right? And then I'll duplicate it here, and I'll duplicate it there, and then we'll have it here. Right? So we'll just abbreviate text. And now I'm going to make sure that at 9 a.m., and I'll do the same thing below, right? We'll duplicate it under here for week 2 and week 3 and week 4. This way we stick to it. Now let's go back to the next action. Now we're going to go clean up and categorize database. You know, and now as I'm thinking about that one, that's going to take some time. And this is where you're going to have to test a couple of different times out and say, well, let's take a look at my calendar and say, when do I actually have time to go deep into this one and clean up and categorize my data? Well, what does this look like? First, I probably have to think about this a little bit more. So let's say I want to pick this next week coming up. I want to pick a Tuesday since maybe it's a little slower, or Thursday. And I'm going to say here for 2 hours at 1 p.m. I'm going to jump in database and start categorizing. Are they categorized correctly? And if not, maybe I need to watch a video on how to do this. Maybe I need to think about this deeper. And that's not the only time I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to, probably I'm going to try again so I can create some momentum. Thursday, I can see I have another 1 p.m. We're going to go into database and then start categorizing and see maybe how that looks. Maybe I need to think about it deeper. Think deeper. Right, and then I'll see, hey, was that enough time? Which it probably wasn't. Then it'll go into maybe next Monday, right? I don't know, but you get the picture on that one. And let's go to the last one over here. Newsletter monthly. Let's say We want Myra's help on that one because she runs our newsletter, the monthly one. Or maybe I don't have one and I want to do it weekly, right? Or maybe I do have one and I want to do it weekly. So let's go over here and have some time to set it up. Maybe I want to make sure I want to talk to Myra first. So I'm going to go over here, and I think that first week is kind of packed. So I want to give myself enough space to actually accomplish this, because this whole top portion right here, we're still texting every day. So what I want to do now is maybe choose Wednesday. And on Wednesday, I'm going to go and dig deeper at 11 a.m. Let's say I found a spot at that time. 11 a.m. I'm going to get together with Myra. And let's say I'm going to go 11 to 1 p.m. And I'll make it a lunch meeting and figure out newsletter. And then I'm going to decide, is it going to be weekly or monthly? I don't know. But you know what? That's probably not going to be the last time. So I'm probably going to want that momentum going. And I want to do it on Friday at 10 a.m. this time. And then do a newsletter again. Newsletter, date, decide launch for weekly, right? If we're going to do it weekly, I want to decide that day, and then I want to dig deeper. Maybe we go into the design. The point is, I don't know, but I need these times blocked, right? And now we go here, and you see this whole section right here. We're all done with this one. And now this is the living document part. As we start getting better at this, and as we start checking these off, and we're like, oh, we're done with that. Oh, we're done with that. Then what we can do is simply start a new document and be like, you know what? I'm done with this as number 3. I need to fill this out. What's my new number 3? In fact, what's my new number 2? Now that I've cleaned my database up, what does number 2 look like? And maybe if I'm revisiting it 2 weeks from now, I'm like, I've done my database for cleaning. Now I need to make smart plans. So I have more automation, right? And then I go through, this is a living document, you see, and then I plan it over here. When am I going to do that? So as you start using this document more, you actually start accomplishing the things that you've been wanting to accomplish. Why? Because you've broken them down into these small increments, small steps. That is the key. 3 parts. I call it the process. Hopefully it helps. If you have any questions on this, or if you need the documents, they're free. Just let me know. I'm here to help you out. Oh, and if you found this helpful, share it with somebody. I know there are people out there who will need this. Have an awesome day.